Where do I start? They say life imitates art. I'm trying to paint a picture. Paint a picture that's licking you scripture. I ain't just another nigga. Another nigga with a dream. It seems we finally made him all believe. A dream to be the reason we come to achieve. The life that we would all kill for, even die for. I score so sick, so
Shaquille
sick.
Smith,
Sick and tired of these little kids talking wrong shit.
SMITH.
He's on Shades and Narrative podcast, baby. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome, sir. When did I first talk to you about coming on the show?
Common Good Solutions.
When you were meeting with Alfred.
I had a meeting with Alfred.
Oh, yes.
Seen you I was passing by.
Yeah.
Dapped you up.
Of course.
And then that's probably how you get a lot of your host there, or your guests.
Through CGS?
Yeah, just dapping people up.
Oh, yeah. Show love.
Yeah.
Well, because honestly, that's what I think we need more of.
Yeah.
I always reference the Southern hip hop wave and how the sound and just like the power and force behind Southern hip hop music. And you're like, how did this happen? Well, they all have studios and they all work together. Yeah. And it's not really about who charged who for what. Yeah. But it's just like, let's just get together and do some shit and see what happens. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of Halifax.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of, growing up here. We were just talking about it earlier, growing up here and going to school here and then looking back 13 years later.
It's crazy.
That was your first year at university? Yeah.
No way.
It was. Yeah. So to see, like you said, things come full circle and to see the things that people are involved in their lives and then like what we're doing now and like being able to come back and bring that together and share those conversations. I think that's dope. Yeah. And that's why you're here. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
You have some cool shit going on,
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Is it working?
Yeah, working and just trying to give back to the younger kids. A lot of what I'm doing is all geared around just student athletes, and I just want to share my experiences of like, and you know this as a student athlete playing basketball at St. FX and at SMU. It's all about like everyone's going to have their own challenges, but I feel like as a young guy, like looking up to you guys when you were like in university, like when I watched you play at X, I was like, man, life is good. Yeah. Life is good. And it's like, I wanted that. Right. And then kind of when I was there, it was like, I got to university and it was like, damn, like this is hard. Yeah. And it's like, I know that there are younger kids now that are doing the same thing, looking up to guys, even like guys like Lindell Wigginton or guys who are in university. They're like, they're fans of these guys and they want to get there, but there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye of just going to play basketball, or else you're just going to be, just going to swallow you up if you're not ready. So I just kind of want to share that. Not
enough people talk about the shitty side of what it's like being.
I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people, they have the successes and they don't really share what their challenges were. Right. So now when the younger kids come up and they start to go through their challenges, they feel like that challenge is unique to them. Right. And now it's like, I'm not supposed to be here anyways. That was a big thing for me, is like, I looked up to a lot of people that kind of went to university before me and they didn't end up graduating. And there's a lot of guys from North Preston. So that's kind of where the basketball court kind of started. It's like, I'm looking up to guys from North Preston playing university basketball. I'm like, I want that. Right. But then I see them play 1 or 2 years, and then the stigma starts to kind of come up of like, oh, these guys are just not doing their schoolwork. So I said, and I, like, as bad as it sounds, I started to believe that stigma, and I'm from the community. I'm like, these guys probably just not doing their schoolwork. So I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to do my schoolwork. Right. High school, get a 93 average, go to university, slap me on my ass. Like I almost dropped out. Yeah. So I was like, it wasn't that they just weren't doing their schoolwork. It was like the preparation that it takes to get to university, to be a student athlete, not just basketball, but to be a student athlete and to do school, and you're practicing twice a day and doing weights in the morning and all that, and you're expected to still meet the university curriculum. Is like, that's a lot of responsibility. So it's like, I realized that. So now I want to be honest with the younger generation. It's like, it's just not going to be easy. Yeah. It's not, you're going to have some challenges. Yeah. I went through some challenges, but hopefully that's going to help them realize when they go to university and they hit that breaking point of, I want to drop out, or I want to, persevere through it. It's like, oh, well, Shaq and Terrence and all these guys went through it. So now they know that the problems are going to come, rather than just looking from the outside in and just thinking like life is good on the other side, because it's not.
It's not even close. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Okay, so hold on. I got to introduce the show because you got it right. You got into the good stuff. That's why I'm excited. Welcome everybody to the Changing the Narrative podcast, episode 65. As you have already heard, I'm here with Shaquille Smith. And we're talking about, so you played at Acadia.
Played at Acadia.
Well, you went to Auburn. Mm-hmm. And did you win a provincial championship?
First ever one.
To see. Congratulations, sir. And then went on to Acadia, played ball. We've already heard a little bit about some of the challenges in that. Yeah. And now you graduate, come home back to North Preston and help in raising the money to build a brand new basketball court at the North Preston Community Center. Yep. And now you just recently launched your non-for-profit, the Futures program.
Yeah, the Futures program.
So there's a lot of stuff with like the gaps in being a student athlete and some of the challenges that all of us face. And like you already mentioned, the old cliche, using sport as a vessel.
I know. Use sport as a vehicle to, like, no one knows what that means.
So we're gonna talk about what we think that actually means. Yeah. And some of your experiences being a student athlete, and now that you've gone through it, you're on the other side. Mm-hmm. And like you said, sharing some of talking about the things that aren't fun and cute, and they don't. That's not what people want to talk about.
Exactly.
But it's what people need to talk about. So we're gonna talk about the shit, and then we're gonna get into the Futures program and what that's all about and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because that's what you said earlier is people's why. Mm-hmm. Understanding people's why, and we see the things that people do, but we don't necessarily know the reasons
the motivation behind, and the bigger picture. Just understanding the bigger picture. Mm. So I mean,
what's your big picture look like?
So for me, it's funny how it started off is because, like I was telling you, so from North Preston, I had looked up to a lot of people, and I'm like, why are all these guys getting basketball scholarships and not graduating? Right. So then, obviously, once I'm at Acadia, from North Preston, same community, blah, 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 I'm almost not graduating. It took me some extra shit to graduate in terms of overworking. I had to take 6 classes my last semester. Eesh. So it's like, which is not even allowed. I had to get like special approval just so I can get, so I can get my my degree on scholarship. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't really understand why kids were failing out. So what I wanted to do is I kind of seen the basketball court as an opportunity to make some noise in the community and spread some awareness about, kind of going to university and not buying into the distractions and inspiring younger kids to go to university. Right. So what I wanted to do was build a court, make it the best court I could possibly make. Right. I said I wanted to make the best outdoor basketball court in Canada. Yeah. So I just kind of mirroring Rutgers Park and got the same type of surface, glass backboards, the bleachers and all that. So now the kids see that, they get super excited. Yeah. Like, wow, this is like top of the line. Yeah. But the elements that I wanted to introduce to kind of inspire the kids to go to university were like, we're putting banners up on the fence of everybody from North Preston that went to university or professionally. Right. Kind of stole the concept of like at Auburn with the bricks. Yes. So when you go to the Auburn gym to practice and you see the bricks up on the wall, you feel that atmosphere. You know that there's like a legacy or a history behind all of the athletes. So it's kind of like, I kind of took that kind of concept and applied it to North Preston with, the 40 men and women that went to university or professional from North Preston, and just show the kids, here they are. Right. So to bring that kind of inspiration. And as I started talking to people and all that kind of stuff, and everyone was loving the idea and the concept, and I even talked to some people outside the community, people started reaching out to me. It was like, this is not like this problem that you're facing is not just North Preston. Like, this is a problem that's being faced everywhere. But it's just gotta be, it's just gotta tweak the kind of the messaging a little bit. But there's a huge problem for student athletes. So it's kind of like my passion to give back to my community and fix a small problem in my community, because I thought that it was just North Preston, but it was like, this is a much bigger problem. Right. So that's where I kind of seen the opportunity to finish the court in North Preston, and then actually start a nonprofit organization that helps, student athletes and any of the unique problems that they kind of face along the way of going to university.
That was going to be my question. Like when you say the problems that people are facing, like what are some of those?
So I'll share some of my problems that I faced.
Do it.
But basically, like I was saying, like I knew, like at a young age when I was in high school, like my basketball coaches would come to me and be like, you have an opportunity to go play university basketball, keep your marks up, all that. So it was like the selling point to me to keep my marks up was that I can get a basketball scholarship at university. Right. So it's like, for me, it was like, I did that. So I finished high school 93 average. So it was like, whatever the school curriculum is at Auburn, I smashed it. Like 93 average, I'm as well as equipped to go to university as anyone could be.
Or so you thought.
So I thought. So it was like, my mentality was, if I get 93 average, I can not only can I get a basketball scholarship, I can get, educational scholarships and all that kind of stuff. So did that, got to university, and now like 2 years in, my first 2 years, I'm like this close to like academic probation. Right. So it's like, now I realize I'm like saying to myself, if a kid, not even just me, but like if a student athlete is getting a 93 average in high school and he goes to university and he's almost like dropping out or missing his scholarship. Right. Anyone like in between that spectrum of 93 and 70 or 65, they have no chance. That's kind of like my thought process. I'm like, and I'm not saying that like, I was the smartest kid. I wasn't a smart kid. I just applied myself. Like I worked super hard to get that scholarship so I can get to university, and coaches don't think I'm a risk. Basically, that was my logic. Okay. And then once I got to university, it was a wake up call, and I had to do a lot of work all over again. I had to build from the ground up. So it was just I was complacent. So it's not that I couldn't do it. I wasn't prepared enough. Right. So I just see like a gap in terms of young student athletes who are coming up now, and the preparation that it takes to excel in university or college or whatever. Right. While playing sports, because sports takes probably like 20 to 30 hours out of your week.
Yeah, it's a job.
Yeah, it's a job. Yeah. So it's like, you got to understand you got to do everything that a normal student can do. Right. Minus 30 hours or 40 hours of your week. Right. And still meet the requirements.
So why are we selling to young people to be student athletes if we're not preparing them to be ready to do that?
Yeah, and I think the preparation, and that's why I want to launch a nonprofit organization, is the preparation. It has to be premeditated. So right now it's not premeditated. It's kind of like an afterthought. So like I said, in junior high, parents are always telling you, use basketball or sports to get your education. Right. And then you're off to university and the disconnect is crazy. Like you're like, they just think you're automatically going to get your education. And that's like where all the hard work has to come in. Right. So, and for me, it was like, I had no idea what I wanted to be. So like people were telling me to get my education, but I'm like, in what?
To learn what?
In what? Right. So,
but you were told, and this is because I'm with you on all of this, right? Like, didn't know why I wanted to go to school, but went because I was told that I was good at a sport and I could get an education because of it, but I didn't know what I even wanted to do. No one even
talk to you about what your education you want your education to be.
What do you like doing? And I think that's for me, that's probably one of the biggest things is talking to young student athletes, especially black men, and saying, what do you like doing other than playing ball? Because you've got to like something else. Because even if ball worked for you and from this community, it took you to the furthest it could possibly take you. Yeah. You see LeBron James on the March Madness commercials, executive producing
everything. Everything.
And he's still in the league.
Album, everything.
So it's like, okay, if we're going to sell young people on the pipe, like the hoop dream, then can we at least plan with them the exit strategy?
Exactly.
Because that's not happening.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not happening at all. And it's like these young students don't even understand the platform that they have as just being a student athlete. Like, and we see the platform in the media on the largest scale. You see guys like LeBron opening schools. Kobe is writing novels now or something like that.
Doing movies, and he got nominated for some award. He won a Grammy or whatever movie award.
That's the platform on the highest scale. Right. They think just because we're I play for Acadia. I don't have a platform. That's a lot. I have a platform. There's like, you just don't understand the platform. Like if you go to an Acadia basketball game, I wish I would have went and sat in the stands after a game and talked to some of the alumni. You know what I mean? Just talk to some of the alumni who are kind of already in the world. They are huge fans of you, and they come to your games and they support you. Yeah. But I didn't really understand that as an athlete who has a platform to go talk to some of those alumni and say, like, you know, here's what I want to do, or maybe they can help me find a job after school and kind of plant those seeds 3 years in advance. Right. So now when I graduate, I don't go through. I think I went 4 or 5 months without a job once I graduate university, and I had a little one on the way. Right. So it's like, I said to myself, like, why did I do this? Right. Like, why did I even go down this path? Because like, now I'm done. Yeah. I have a little one on the way and I'm unemployed. Right. So I was like,
looking back saying, like, what did you, and that's the question, like, what did you get out of, like, what did you get out of the experience?
So I just, obviously lots that I got that out of the experience that I'm still kind of, you know, cashing out from, I'd say, is the platform. So like the platform that I play at Acadia basketball, that's helping me, you know, build a basketball court. That's helped me launch a nonprofit, and that's helped me kind of use basketball as a pipeline to breed, you know, future leaders. But I got a lot of it, like time management skills, resiliency, all that kind of stuff. It teaches you valuable skills. I wish that if I would have had the futures program in grade 12 to kind of help me unlock my other interests, so I can use sport to go towards my goal. Like, I by default, I kind of ended up in like digital marketing because, you know, I had a contact there who played Acadia basketball. He got me in the door, and then I had like some technology background with my degree, and then I loved it. I figured out that I loved it. So that I kind of like, it had to be the perfect storm of me going through university, meeting a basketball guy who happens to be the president of the company, and he'd bring me as a mentorship role. But even then I had to like, I started off as an intern making like $15 an hour. Right. With a business degree. Like this is my, so I'm like, what is like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? So it was kind of like, I wish that I knew the platform that I had going into first year and then use every single year of identifying what I wanted to do and using every single year stepping towards that, rather than I use my whole 5 years, trying to be the best basketball player that I can be, getting into the starting lineup and win the AUS championship and being MVP. Like, I was so consumed in that, that like, I didn't even think about school. The reason why I took business, because my logic was everything's a business. I'll find a place somewhere. Like, and that's a bad mentality to have, because once I graduated, I had nothing. I didn't have a job for a couple months. So it's crazy. Yeah.
That's wild, yo.
No, man.
I like that you're referencing this, because it's something that like, March Madness is happening, and you watch someone like Zion Williamson, and you're like, wait a minute, this guy breaks through a shoe, and then you're like, he should be able to leverage that to get an excessive amount of money either at Nike or elsewhere. Paul George now gets to leverage that to get either more money or at Nike or elsewhere, and you're like, wait a minute. And again, it sucks because we're seeing them at the peak, highest of everything. But it's like you said, we all have our own small platforms. And I wish we would have learned what that meant while we were in school, because there's so many. I could only imagine being like one of the bald kids. Like you have your own brand and you're going through this, and you have leverage. Like whether it's 2,000 people or 5,000 people who may follow you, or the alumni in the stands, like, we have so much more power and so much more leverage.
For sure.
But why aren't people identifying this to us? I guess is that long-windedness to ask you, like, why? So why, if we all know this, if this is the thing that we're going through, like, why is this information not being shared?
That's the challenge. So that's what I want to do. So like, And like for me, learning a lot about this stuff is not just stuff that I kind of learned on my own. Like I had mentors along the way. So that like talking to the alumni in the stands thing. Right. There was this family that used to come to all of the games at Acadia. They're the Finney family. And,
yes.
Yeah. So they come to all the games, and it's funny because
taking pictures.
Yeah, taking pictures, all that. My 5th year of university. So like this is like, you know, over to like. Or I'm supposed to be done school already. But like now I'm like, I gotta find a job. Right. So I'm like, now I'm gonna start talking to some of the alumni, and their daughter was in my class. Right. So I reached out to them, all that, and I'm talking to them like, can you guys help me with like finding some opportunities? And they were super blunt, like, where was this like 4 years ago? Right. So I was like, you know, that I realized that they didn't like shut me out. They just used it as a teachable moment of like, you got to start doing this stuff and like play the game even just early. Saying hi, like just walking to the gym, you see alumni there to here support you. Just say hi, let them get to know you, get your face out there. It's just networking, using your little small platform to kind of get your face out there. So I understand that now, and that's something that they preached a lot to the basketball players at Acadia. So that's one thing that I learned through mentorship, and then a lot of the other stuff I'm just kind of learning from having a conversation with people and looking back. But yeah, man, it's just all kind of like. I'm just really trying to use all the things that I've learned, because there's the reason why we're not learning is because there's no curriculum that's teaching you this.
Here we go.
There's no there's no, you know, outlet or resource that's specifically for student athletes to learn this thing. Right. Even if you look at it from like a financial standpoint, no one. I'm like, as soon as I was 19, I'm in university. I'm like, I gotta get a credit card. As funny as I gotta get a credit card.
The first thing I did.
Exactly. But keep in mind, like,
still have it.
I'm in university playing basketball. I'm not working, so I'm like, this credit card's paying my rent, basically. You know, I need to pay my rent. Yeah. No one told me that credit card is supposed to be paid off monthly, or I should have looked at a line of credit or anything like that. It's like I had to learn that the hard way, and now like. Now, on my later half of universities, I'm trying to pay off this credit card debt. And like, so it's like, I just want really all that stuff. I want to just teach to the younger kids. Like,
and it's not even that much money. It's
not.
But and specifically people from our community. Oh, yeah. We've never had, historically, we haven't had anything. No. So a $2,000 credit card to us could be like the most insurmountable amount of debt that we can never overcome.
Exactly.
But it's because to us, $2,000 is to somebody else $20.
Exactly.
It's understanding the vantage point of the people in which are going through this. And this is why I want to know more about the Futures programs, because like what exactly is it that you're doing? Because you keep referencing curriculum. Yep. And that excites me because going through doing my BED and then being like, I don't want to teach in schools at all. Yeah. I can't stand this whole infrastructure, but I can use what I've learned to teach in ways and in spaces that make the most sense for me and the people who are interested in learning. So I have some ideas in terms of like what I want to do with art and business and helping kind of change the narrative around the starving artist, right? So how do we teach people the art of business? So that's why I'm curious, like what the Futures program is, what, and what are you doing?
Yeah. So in terms of the Futures program, so what we have in mind is basically,
who's we?
So we is it's myself and then Corvell Beals and Novell Provo. Okay. So that's where we're at right now, and the only and basically we're all working together because it's kind of funny, and this happens in Nova Scotia a lot. Corvell did the Peace Tournament for the last 2 years. Huge success. And then
we won a championship at Cole Harbour together.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. And then Novell, he did the Metro Top 40 camp, which I helped out. I was on like one of the boards, the committee. We brought like Andrew Wiggins down the first year, Dylan Brooks. So that's the Top 40 camp is, you know, the top 40 junior high players in the area. And basically we were teaching them some things like goal planning and stuff like that. So it was some great stuff. And then the emergence of the basketball court kind of happening. I was like, you know, I was saying like, you know, I'm going to do these tournaments, I'm going to do these camps and all that. But then I was like, kind of took a step back. I'm like, these lanes are already like, they already have these lanes. I don't want to take away from any of that. So I had a conversation with them because we're all from the same community. It's like, we don't need to like, there's only so much basketball to go around. We don't need to compete. Let's all just leverage what we have going on with the basketball court and the camps and the peace tournament and all that. And let's all work together. So basically that's how we kind of all started to work together. So now we're going to bring the Metro Top 40s and be part of the Futures program. So Neville's still going to run it and all that. He's head of the committee and all that, but we're just going to help them fundraise and all that. But we're going to bring an angle to education to the camp now. Yes. So now there's going to be the top 40 kids in the Nova Scotia area. And they're going to come into the camp. They're still going to learn about goal setting and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to introduce kind of like not where they want to be in their careers, but like just we're going to water it down to industries or like subjects. So like, do you like math? Do you like biology? Is it science? What is it? So now we're putting that on the radar of the kids at that age for junior high.
Because that's when you've got to start.
It is.
Because high school,
it is.
You get into a space where you almost care too much about what other people think. And if you don't know what you think, then you're fucked. So if you can talk to them in junior high and get them to identify their own independent thoughts, then when they go to high school, when they're going to be influenced by everything, at least they're grounded in knowing what it is they actually care about. That's exactly.
So
I dig it.
We're planting the seed basically. So basically the Futures program there are like 3 major steps. There's the junior high stage where we're trying to get on the kids' radars of just identify your interests outside of basketball. Is it math, whatever it is? So now when we send them to high school, they're better prepared for high school because now they can start to pick out what kind of classes they want to take, blah, blah, blah. Now in high school, we're gonna try to get on their radars again. But now we're trying to kind of talk about what do you want to take in university based off what you know what your interests are. So now I know I like math. Boom, boom, boom. We get you in high school now. It's like, what do you want to do with math? Do you want to be, an accountant or general business or what is it? Marketing. What is it? So now we're going to help them kind of sample the waters a little bit and help them identify our potential career path.
Who had this conversation with you in junior high or high school?
No one. All I've heard at that age was use basketball as a vehicle. And that vehicle crashed pretty quickly. Once I got to Acadia. But that's I'm just trying to have those conversations just to have them to help them think more. And like a lot of my passion behind this came from so when I was in university and when I graduated university, I volunteered for the Junior Achievers program. What's that? So it's JA Nova Scotia. So they just do a lot of different programs in the community for the younger kids. They do like help young business people, stuff like that. So I was talking on behalf of them to go to like the junior highs, and we were teaching something called Economic for Success. So we're just teaching you something like how to read your paycheck and how to conduct interviews and stuff like that. So like this is perfect stuff. Like this is right up my alley of like some of the things that the kids need to learn. I was going and I realized when I'm in the class and I'm literally like administrating these programs, student athletes are the one in the back with their phones on Instagram, disengaged. I'm like, you guys are the one that need to be listening the most. So that's when I knew that I had to kind of separate them from the normal students. Because in all honesty, as an athlete at that age, and you know that you're probably going to go to university, your head is like this big. Like no one can tell you anything. Like even me as a former basketball player, and I'm trying to teach you something in class, and you're not even engaged. So that's when I knew I had to like separate them, and we have to separate them.
It's a different conversation.
It is.
It's a very different conversation that youth who have been misinformed and miseducated on this cliche of using sport as a vehicle and don't have a sweet clue, but think as teenage humans do that we know everything. And oh man, keep going, yo. This is cool.
So
this is cool. So the education piece, keep going.
Okay.
I like that part.
So that's the education piece is going to happen early on in junior high and high school, basically. those first 2 steps is going to be all education in terms of not like what you're learning in school, but like what you need to really excel in university. Okay. And then the 3rd step, which is my favorite part, and I think this is going to be like, you know, this is going to be huge if the program can pull this off.
When it pulls it off.
When it pulls it off, sorry. I like your mentality. So when we pull this off is, and once you're actually in university and you declare what you want to be and you're working towards it, right. Now we're going to work with local organizations to actually get you internships and experience in that role. So, okay. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. Shaq goes to Auburn. He identified an interest in digital marketing. Goes to Acadia. He's taking his business technology management degree. And 3rd year, he gets a job interview at Color, where I work now. Right. So now, in my 3rd year, I still have 2 more years left of university because I stayed for 5. Right. I'm getting, instead of me going back to Wolfville every summer and doing basketball summer camps or Costco, and no, I'm not getting any valuable work experiences. I was literally, you'll find this funny because you were there with me. But when I graduated university and my boss was kind of giving me an interview, was like, I'm using my experiences from working at Foot Locker to try to get into the marketing space. Yep. And it's just like, I was looking at myself, I'm like, I don't have any like business experience that I can really sell. So I'm just going to give you what I have. You know, I'm selling you what I have. So I'm like literally like using how I sell shoes to how I can, you know, be a better marketer. And it's like, I understood that, and it's very valuable, but it's like, it would have been a lot easier for me if I would have had marketing experience. Right. So basically in university, whatever your interest is or whatever you want your career to be, and you're in the Futures program, we're going to try to kind of advocate on behalf of you and reach out to local organizations and try to get you internships instead of you having to do the internship after you graduate, you know? Right. So that's basically the why would you wait till the end to start doing that? And that's what I waited till the end. So I kind of had to, once I graduated, I had to do the internship thing and then build my career after university, when that should have been happening while I was in university.
There shouldn't be that break in the transition if you're going to school because that's what it is, right? Yeah. Like we're told to go to school to get a degree, but we don't know what we want or what we like or what we care about. So then the job that we're supposed to be getting once we get this degree, if we don't need to get another degree in order to get the job we want, then it's like, well, I'm just going to do anything because I have this degree. Like that's exactly what I did. Yeah, exactly. I left school. I worked at fucking Future Shop and Foot Locker and like all these weird places. It's like this.
It could be further off of what you wanted to do.
What the hell was the point of going to school? Yeah. And so, and I think even that there's a bit of fear in then you've got student loans. You're like, I need X job that pays X amount of money so that I can afford this loan that nobody told me. Like, okay, it's a student loan. Yeah. First year university. Yeah. No, this is I'm going to spend this money. Knowing that, like, right now I'm paying student loans. And it's like, I didn't need to go shopping my second year of university.
Didn't need it.
Like, this is the biggest waste of time ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just the stuff like that, though. Like, all those kind of things.
Don't know that stuff,
they don't know. And they need to know. They need to know. And it's like, the way I see it is, if you go play sports at a university and you end up with a degree that you have no interest in, that almost hurts you more than the person that dropped out. Because at least, you know, they didn't spend 5 years of their life pursuing something that is invaluable to them at this point. So there's kind of 2 things I'm trying to combat. One, I'm trying to stop kids from dropping out by helping them identifying exactly where they want to go and how we can use sports to get there. Right. But I also want to limit people getting degrees from playing sports that they don't have any interest at all, because I have friends who have degrees that they don't have any interest in, and now they're done school and they're trying to figure out, what do I want to do? Yeah. And that's a very frustrating place to be, because it's like, everyone told me that Especially if you come from like the smaller black communities where like you don't see a lot of people from your community go to university in the first place.
Right.
So there was like, that kind of happened with me, was like, not a lot of people from my community, from my family or from play basketball that went to university. So like I got to university and I was celebrated. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I feel like the man, blah, blah, blah. And then once I get my degree, I was even more celebrated. Yeah. And my mom's, you know my mom.
Yeah, of course.
Mom was huge support, super supportive of me and all that. She was like, let's have a party. I'm like, yeah, that's when like something in me like really like switched. I'm like, have a party. I'm like, let me look at the situation right now. Yeah. I'm unemployed. Yeah. Yes, I have a piece of paper that says I have a degree. Yeah. And we're gonna go back home and celebrate. I'm like, I understand, like people will celebrate getting their degrees all the time. I was like, and I have a baby on the way. Right. And I'm unemployed. So it's like, what are we celebrating? Right. Like, what are we celebrating? You know? Yeah. So it's kind of like, I told her I don't want to do that. Like, there's nothing to celebrate yet. So it's like, to me, it's just kind of like that puts it into perspective of like the bar that we're kind of putting on ourselves, or the expectation, because we haven't been there yet. It was like, my mom was super happy that I graduated, and she was like, let's celebrate. But I was like, there's nothing to celebrate yet. You know, we're going to have a celebration when I'm really doing something, and you know.
So I guess that boils down to the question, like, what is it? What do we value?
Exactly.
Why is going to university and graduating such a celebration? Because if so many of us are going through this experience being like, fuck, that wasn't as great. Yeah. That's not how you sold it to me when you first sold it to me. This is not what I want. So but again, I think that goes to the point that you mentioned earlier. Like, we're not talking about the shitty side of any of it. University. Any of it. It's party, get a ring, get a job, and you're free from your parents' house, and that's it. Yeah. It's like, no, you actually accumulate debt, and you probably are spending time. Like, do you know how many courses I took that were just so that I could get a high enough mark to keep my scholarship?
So you laugh at this. You will laugh at this. Since we're sharing university stories now, we can do it. So my first 3 years university, if I had a class that conflict with practice, I was dropping it. Like 3 o'clock class, economics, drop. Yeah. Little did I know, I'm dropping prerequisite class. I'm dropping prerequisite classes. Yeah. So it's like, I did that for like 3 years, and then went and talked to my academic advisor. I was like, yep, looking to graduate in my 5th year. So I'm 2 years early. Right. I'm looking to graduate my 5th year, making sure everything's all good. Yeah. She like looked at me. She was like, 2 years? She was like, 2 years? I was like, yep, 2 years. Like, I'm on basketball scholarship for another 2 years. Want to make sure I'm good. She was like, it's going to take a lot of work. So I literally had to take, going into my 5th year, I had to take 3 summer classes, 6 classes my first semester, 6 classes in my second semester. So that's, do the math on that. Gross. That's 15 classes. 15 classes in a year. When I said before, it's not even allowed. Like, I had to get a special. They say athletes aren't allowed taking 6 classes period because of the time demand. Right. So I had to get special sign off from the athletic director to be like, Shaq is taking onus on himself. If he fails, it's on him. Yeah. So I had to get that. I needed the academic advisor to sign off on it and be like, you're on your own, basically. Yeah. You're on your own. Yeah. But like, once I applied myself, those are the best marks that I got all year. Right. Because like, you know, Zayla was on the way. Yeah. You know, the pressure was on, and I excelled. But it's like, I put myself in such a horrible situation just because I was being stupid, and I was so consumed in like, I had to be at practice. Like, I felt like I could not miss practice for economics just because I was riding the bench and I'm trying to get minutes. So like, I'm not missing practice. I'm going into practice. And I'm going to find the best player, and I'm gonna try to compete with them.
That sounds like a setup, though.
You gotta know what you want. And it's funny because like, if you're playing, and not to be like the dark cloud that comes over all these student athletes, but like, if you're playing AUS or U Sport basketball in Canada, do you think you're going to the NBA? Like, I just like no one knows, like, it's not, no one, like, I didn't think I was going to the NBA. I was saying to myself, maybe I can have a successful career, go overseas, see the world, blah, blah, blah. Right. But at what point do you like you don't have to sacrifice your career for that. You can do both.
Yes.
You can do both.
For sure.
An ideal situation for me would have been, I played 5 solid years at Acadia, got overseas somewhere, maybe played a couple of years. Best case scenario, play a couple of years at Spain, see the world a little bit, come back. I have my business degree and I can start my career. Boom. Best case scenario, you get to travel, experiences that you would have never experienced if you didn't play basketball. Yeah. But you don't have to sacrifice your career for that. Yeah. You can still travel with your career. Like it's not over. Like so I don't understand. I understand the motivation. I understand that how competitive you are and all that. And I love that's the stuff that's going to help you excel after sport. But I was like, why are you like younger Shaq? Why the hell are you skipping economics to go to a practice that nobody remembers what you did in that practice? Like I can't even remember that practice. You know what I mean? Like one practice of the week. Like no one told me I had to drop it, but I dropped it. And that was another thing to me. Is like, it's crazy how, like, people say you have independence in university. Yeah, right. It is mind-blowing to me how far I went from university and no one flagged anything with me in terms of, like, dropping prerequisite classes and all that. No one was like, whoa, you need that. Right. So now, we had to get so creative. We had to get so creative with me, with my getting my degree, is that because I dropped prerequisite classes, I had to take Finance 1 and Finance 2 in the same semester. So like you need Finance 1 to pass Finance 2. Right. And I'm taking them in the same semester. So and that Finance 2 was like 8:30 and Finance 1 was like 10 o'clock. So I'm doing stuff in Finance 2 that I have no idea. Right. And then I'm learning Finance 1 and I have to like flip it when I'm doing my homework and try to like it was just crazy. But I'm like, no one flagged this with me. Awful. No one flagged this with me. So it's kind of like you kind of go through your own journey, your own challenges, which are all unique to you. Right. But you got to understand that other people have been there too, and just know what you're trying to get out of it. Kids are not identifying what they want to get out of it, so they don't know what they want to get out of it.
Was there pressure for guys to take or not take courses that conflicted with practice?
100%. 100%. 100%.
It sucks.
100%.
You came here to get an education, and now you're being judged for missing practice to get your education. That
conversation is like, and it may not be like, sometimes it's not a straight up like conversation like, can you take another class? It was like, you're taking a class during practice, and it's like they're like questioning. They're like questioning like my integrity. I'm like, no, I'm not taking that economics. I'm like locked in. But it's like, but that definitely happens. I can't say it happens all the time, but you feel it as an athlete. You feel as an athlete.
I felt it.
Even from your teammates.
Yep. That's who we felt it the most from. Mm-hmm. I found.
You miss a workout session or you miss a practice, especially if it's a practice when everybody was running. Like if they had if they were running like, if it was the worst practice of the week and everybody's running suicides and you come strolling into video or something after and you just see everyone's pissed off or whatever. Right. They're like, well, you couldn't make practice or like you couldn't, is that like, you know, they look at you funny. And it's like,
doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
The world is weird. Okay. So what else did we have on our list? Cause we had some other things.
Up to you, man. Like,
cause the only other thing I would say is I'd like to know about, like, you're on the other side now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've touched on this already, but you're in a unique position as somebody who's experienced what it is that you've experienced that kids are aspiring to do and to be. So, and I feel a sense of responsibility myself to be like, I'm one of the few privileged Black people who has an education and could have went left, didn't. And so I kind of have to tell young people my story. Exactly. Because if not us, then who?
Exactly. And that's where a lot of it comes down to. So obviously, like everything that I'm starting right now, the heart of it starts with North Preston and where I came from North Preston. Right. So one of the things where I really want to be an open book to the youth and to the kids is because we're in an era right now where like the media can say whatever they kind of want, say what they want, and it's not my job to kind of like tell the media, like, you know, we're not trying to like really tell the media that like North Preston is not this.
Okay.
It's like, that's not my job.
Right.
You're fighting a losing battle.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
It's like, you're never going to change their mind about the community. Obviously, good stories are going to pop up and all that. But the moment that something bad happens in the community, that's going to be the headline again.
For sure.
So it's like, to me, it's like the reason why I want to kind of get on the kids' radar is because, like, you have to understand the fight that you want to fight. To me, I couldn't care less about that because I'm so in tune with myself. I know where I'm going to go, where that doesn't affect me. Right. So it's like, it's important for me to tell the kids that you can't let that affect you. Don't waste your energy trying to change headlines. Because if you change headlines, if you're wasting energy trying to change headlines, you're already not focusing on what you really want to be. So it's kind of like, I just want to, and that's the kind of thing that wears on your mental, you know. People, if you see your community in a negative light for so long, and like I said, I was a victim of this. Like, I'm seeing all these student athletes drop out, and I don't realize why they're dropping out. I subliminally start to think they're just not doing their schoolwork. That's it. Yeah, I've got a 93 average. I'm going to be good. Yeah, smack down to reality. Right. So it's like, it's not about kind of what the headline is. It's more about like understanding and being open to the younger kids that this is what's going to happen. So if these younger kids are seeing North Preston this and North Preston that in the media, if a kid gets to university and he's this close to failing out and he subliminally thinks that he's not supposed to be there anyways. He's like, I'm from North Preston, or I'm from this community, I'm from that community. We don't really do this anyways. So if I drop out right now, I'm not going to like let anyone down. They're going to give me a pat on the back for making it this far. Right. And I kind of felt that in a sense of, that was my biggest, if I had to kind of narrow it down to one thing that really made it difficult for me, was complacency. So it's like 93 average in high school. I keep saying that. And I'm like, everyone's praising me. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And then 3 years goes by of me thinking that I'm good. Right. And those first 2 years I was struggling. So like when I was locking in, because I knew I wanted to go to the next part of my life. Right. And that was to get a university basketball scholarship. So when I knew what my goal was, I was killing school because I knew that that's what I had to do to get that. Right. And then once I got it, I was like, right. And then as I do that, life is still going, practice is happening, I'm dropping classes, and life is going on. So that little split second of complacency that I had, that's when things started to slip. Right. And the only reason why I had that complacency, because not many people before me or have done it. So it's like the community, we kind of set the bar. We didn't set the bar, but the bar is here because not many people have done it. Right. So it's like, now that people are going to university more often now, we're still in that phase of like celebrating everybody that goes to university. Right. But we gotta say to ourselves, we're supposed to do that now. Right. You know? Yeah. And the bar has moved. There's nobody from the more privileged or the privileged communities that are going to university and be like, good job. Like, that's an expectation. That's expected of you now. Right. So if you come from a family where everyone is going to university, right. If that's you normal. Don't go to, that's normal. Right. So having that mentality, and because my family not many people from my family went to university, or many people from my community went to university, we're still celebrating those that are going to university. And it's like, we're kind of hurting them a little bit because it's like false hope. It's like, good job. But it's like getting a participation award. You're going to participate, you know? Yeah. So don't just go to university, excel, and then figure out what your passion is, and then excel at that too. So we're kind of putting that barrier in ourselves. And a lot of that comes from how the kids are perceiving their own selves in the community. And that all comes with what they're seeing in the media. So if we don't do our job to tell them to be true to yourself, and don't let the media tell you that you're this, or this person tell you that you're this, you be whatever you want to be. You just here's the steps you have to take. Then that will help them once they start to face that fork in the road of like, do I stay up an extra 3 hours tonight, pull an all-nighter and to get a 65 and get through an extra barrier? Or do I just say, fuck it, and just drop out? Yeah. And it's real easy to just say drop out. Like, there's been times where I've written an exam, I knew I failed, and I just dropped it. Like, I just dropped the class before I even got my mark back. Yeah. And it's super easy, but it's harder to face that. It's harder to face that challenge, and then to work a little bit harder to get through that challenge. And we need people to share their experiences with us, or else these kids are going to think that the problems that they're facing right now are unique to them, and they're not.
Because that's when you face those challenges, who did you have to speak to? You're being praised for everything, and then you hit a roadblock, and it's like, well, like you don't know what to do, because there's panic, but there's also in our community, we don't talk about a lot of the shit that we need to talk about.
Exactly.
And so there's also a stigma around Black male vulnerability and saying, you know what, I need help.
Yep.
That's not celebrated. Yeah. So when you face a challenge, you're not even given the tools and the means to overcome the challenge. It's usually push it aside and let's just keep moving forward, because we got to just keep progressing. But it's like, no, you probably need to have a conversation with someone, because this, like you said, this experience is not unique to you.
Yep.
This is something that many other people have gone through, but we, for whatever reasons, hoard these experiences to ourselves that really need to be shared more importantly than anything.
Because like what benefit is the community getting from of me going through getting my business degree and just excelling in my career, and the younger kids thinking that Shaq had it good because both my parents were there, super supportive. I got a basketball scholarship, and I just kind of, you know, that's a conversation that's probably happened.
For sure.
That's a conversation that's probably happened. Yeah. Both his parents were there, got a basketball scholarship, blah, 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 and he got his business degree. Life is set for him.
Right.
But if I don't share any of my personal challenges of what I went through, then they're not going to understand that when they're going through challenges, that's natural.
As someone who made it, if the person who makes it can't share the shitty end, the people who are not making it are definitely not talking about it.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, if I kind of figured out a blueprint of how I got through it, why not share it?
Right.
Like, why not pass it down? And there's going to be things that we're not going to be able to fix. Like if you come from a single parent home, I can't fix that for you, but I can just provide you that mentorship to you.
Right.
I can provide you that support system to talk to and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So everyone's going to have their unique problems. For me, I'm just trying to build a platform that is agile enough, so we can pivot towards problems as they come up for student athletes. And that's why I feel like it has to be locked in on student athletes, because they're kind of like the unforgotten group, because everyone just thinks that we're okay. Like everyone thinks we're good. They're like, I said this to someone before. I was like, to somebody who's being recruited as a university student athlete, and someone who's going to university just to do school, this person is way more unprepared than this person for university, because they probably already know what classes they're going to take. They're probably already going to know what their career is going to be, all that kind of stuff. They at least have it down to that. There are a lot of student athletes where universities are coming to you and saying, come to our school. So now you're like looking at the university like, how's their athletic program? What does a locker room look like? How are the uniforms? Like you're evaluating these universities based on their athletic program. So you're already not thinking about school. Right off the jump. Like you're already not thinking about school. So it's like you're not even prepared. And they're campaigning for you. Like there's schools across the country like coming in to talk to you to come to play in the OUA or to come play at Cape Breton or whatever. And they're trying to sell you on their athletic program. So you're already not thinking about school. And now you sign your get your scholarship, whatever, you go, and now you're like, now you're trying to figure it out. So it's like if you're not proactive about it at the junior high phase, the high school phase, then there's a lot of ground that you have to make up if you're not prepared. And like I said, that's just not it's just not something that we learn in the school system, and not everyone's an athlete. So that's why I'm trying to launch this program, hopefully get into some of the school systems where I can come in and talk to some of the kids and isolate some of the athletes, because that's the group that I'm passionate about. And I feel like that's a unforgotten group, because people just assume that like they're good. Like people just assume that athletes are like, life is good for them. And it's like, if anything, they have to work extra harder just to do the same work, to do the same work as everyone else. So they need more support.
When you say student athletes, I know that's broad, but it's also very specific considering who we're really speaking about. Yeah. And in terms of representation, the diversity of what success can look like as a black man in North America. I'm kind of curious how you connect to it as from the space of color and race, like solely because I get it. Like the student athlete experience is unique, but the person of color student athlete experience is also very different and has its own unique challenges. So I guess I'm trying to understand how you feel in terms of either like responsibility or, you know, being a visible representation of the diversity of Black success, and even like you said, to being vulnerable and being able to talk about the shit that like didn't work. Yeah. Like how does that sit with you?
Yeah. I mean,
because that's a lot of pressure. It's like you said, being one of the few people from a community, from the family to be able to do, you know, to accomplish X. It's like, all right, now that, like you said, there's pressure to accomplish these things. So what's that like?
Yeah. So that's kind of, there is a lot of pressure in that sense. And I mean, I find it as a challenge, to be honest with you. Okay. It is a challenge because sometimes I find myself at like social settings, like from where my career has gotten me. Right. And like, you have to learn how to join in on conversation now. I have no interest in, or I have nothing. I have no input to say. Like, right. If I go to like a business banquet or something, and I end up with a group of people who are networking, and they go down this rabbit hole talking about music, I'm like, I don't know what to say right now. I don't know any of these people you guys you're talking about. Right. So I think it's important for me to continue to learn from my experiences that I'm having right now. Right. And share that to the younger generations of, I'm not going to go, like, because they're in a circle talking about certain music, I'm not going to go home and Google that music so I can talk about it next time. Right. I'm going to talk about some of the music that I'm listening to share my culture and my experience with them. Right. So they can go home and Google music and see what it's about, you know? So it's like, one of the things for me is like, as I'm talking to the younger generations, as you start to grow and put yourself in uncomfortable positions, right? Like being at a banquet where not many people look like you and the cultures are completely different. So it's harder for me to network now, right? Because I don't have a lot of the same views, right? Is how can you use that? Like how, just because I'm uncomfortable doesn't mean I'm not in a good position. That means I'm in a position where I can now share this group of people who don't know about me and share that so they understand me a little bit better. Right. So it's kind of like, yes, there's going to be times where you feel like you do not fit in the equation at all. Right. But that doesn't mean that you cannot make space type of thing. So it's like, for me, I'm taking pride in the sense of, as I'm starting to grow, going to new places, doing new experiences, and I'm out of my comfort zone, I see that as growth. So the younger kids just have to see it as growth too. And if they don't know how to channel that energy properly, they're going to be put in situations like that where like they're going to get frustrated. They're not going to be able to, people are going to look at them as being quiet and not outgoing because they're nervous to talk about who they are because they feel like they don't fit. Right. So it's like, you just gotta, I'm just trying to take as much onus as I can as I learn new things, right, and continue to pass on to other people. And then some of these kids are going to do the same thing. They're going to grow and they're going to learn new experiences. And I just want them to share those experiences with me and the community, and especially the young Black kids. And the more information that we kind of share with amongst each other is just going to help us all grow together. So, I mean, I'm learning every day of how to make it work, as, you know, somebody coming from North Preston, being a minority and all that. Like, there's going to be a new challenge that presents itself every day. Right. But just because it's a challenge doesn't mean it's something that you can't tackle or overcome. Like, I feel like I can overcome any challenge. So no matter what it is, that involves being a minority or a problem at work or whatever. Right. You just got to figure out how to make it work and problem solve, and then share that information with other people. Yeah. That you care about. And that's basically my approach on it, and how I continue to use the platform to share information. Basically, it's all about sharing information, experiences.
I dig it. Last question. Lindell Wigginton.
Yes, sir.
He's gonna get drafted to the NBA.
I hope so. I'm feeling pretty confident.
I think that's probably a thing.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad for the minds of the young people in the community?
I think it's great, and I found this funny the other day too because I was watching them. I think it was in the semifinal game before they played in the championship game of the Big 12.
Okay. And
they just showed him walking up the stands. I'm like, and he was like, I'm looking at him dap up all these Iowa State alumni.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm looking at him. I'm like, he gets it.
Right.
He gets it. So I think he's a unique situation where like, obviously he has a great support system around him. He's super talented, super athletic.
Right.
He can do it, but I feel like he has a lot more to give to the youth than just making it to the NBA. So once he does make it to the NBA, because I know it's going to happen.
Yep.
I'm already looking at him, and I just see the way he carries himself. And I've had some conversations with him, and it's like he's all about the youth. He's all about the youth. So I see that motivation in him to continue to inspire the youth.
Right.
So I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. It's going to be awesome for the kids. And once he does make the NBA, I'm sure there's a lot more perspective that he has to share on his path that's going to motivate kids to be more than just basketball players.
And that's kind of my question is it a setup for people to perpetuate the hoop dream even further, because now there's literally somebody from your community
the floodgates are open.
That's made it, right? Yeah. So, and I'm not against it. I love it. I think it's one of the greatest things that could happen.
Yeah.
But that's always in the back of my mind. Like, does this create a false hope in people to pursue something that, like you said, he's a very unique situation.
He's a very unique situation. And I think it's all about having like a healthy balance of knowing what's realistic and what's not. And that doesn't fall on Lindell. That falls on kind of all of us in terms of having these talks with the kids and the parents and the coaches. Are like, if you're going to play NCAA Division II and you're probably not going to the NBA.
Right.
But I'm not saying like there needs to be more of like crushing dreams. Just as long as you're pursuing that and pursuing something else, you're good.
Right.
Go as far as you possibly can with basketball. Right. You know? Go as far as you possibly. You can go to the NCAA Division I and play and ride the bench or whatever. Right. But as long as you're working towards, you're talking to the alumni like Lindell's doing. Right. Like, regardless if Lindell goes to the NBA or not, I can look at him and I say he's good. Right. He's good because he understands it. He gets it. And I've talked to him. He understands that he has a platform right now. He's going to know how to leverage that platform to make sure that he's good with or without the NBA. Right. Which is an awesome position to be in now because now the cards are in his hands. Right. On the flip side, if a bunch of kids...
to cut you off. Yeah. I want to hear that conversation. Yeah. Because that's the piece that I think that's the most important piece is to give the, yes, I made it here, but and we use LeBron James as a great example. He's here in basketball. He's top in basketball, but he's also doing building schools and production companies and doing it all simultaneously. Yeah. And I think if that's the example that's perpetuated and even the conversation what else do you like doing? Yeah,
for sure. Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, if I want sports is take kids as far as they possibly can go. Right. Worst case scenario, if that happens, you make the NBA with a business degree or whatever degree, you're definitely good now. Right. So it's kind of like, I just want to make sure they have more tools in their toolkit. Don't kind of put everything on the sport aspect. Yes, don't get me wrong. Like, we still want to develop your skills and to be elite and go as far as you can, but don't sacrifice your career for it. That's the last thing you need to sacrifice. Continue to sacrifice your time with your friends and time with all that. Do whatever you have to do because sport takes sacrifice, but do not sacrifice your career because if you look at it, I graduated university when I was 23. Yeah. I got my whole life ahead of me now. Yeah. So like, do I really want to sacrifice the next however many years? Right. Because I want to be the best basketball player I could be? It just doesn't make sense. Right. It doesn't add up. So I just I'm trying to find that healthy balance of like not crushing dreams and then being a realist at the same time. So that's the biggest struggle, honestly, is finding that healthy balance.
I dig it.
Yeah, man.
I dig it. Shaq Smith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was a good chat.
Yeah, it was.
That was good. I think the people will take some insightful because it's just creating a conversation around an alternative perspective.
It is.
How many athletes sit around as athletes and have this conversation? Mm-mm. Like, and a lot of the retired, but
yeah.
What would you call it? We're not retired. Former student athletes. Yeah. Like Kyler and Lauren and I have this conversation often, and we're just like, we thought all the wrong things.
Yeah, 100%.
And now we need to share and we need to give that back to people because people need it. Yeah. And if we don't have the conversation, then who's going to teach the young people better? Yeah. And we're not that old.
We're not.
Where they're looking at us like, who's this old dude?
Yeah.
Telling me, no, we just recently did it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So continue on doing what you're doing.
For sure. I appreciate it.
The best of luck.
We'll do.
Futures program.
Yes, sir.
Shouts out to everybody who's involved. If people want to find you and all the things that you're doing, how do they find you?
Instagram, Shaq Smith 22. Futures program websites under development right now.
Nice.
That's about it, man.
Good.
Anywhere on social media, I'm out there.
Good. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you so much for coming. It's full circle, man.
Full circle.
You said.
Yeah, full circle.
That's how life's supposed to be. This is the Change in Narrative podcast. Thank you for listening.